my goal is to empower people. Oftentimes we give our power to someone else. Do this for me. If I learn from you, will I have this? They don't realize that it is already in you. That is part of you. And but you by you studying, you're awakening it within yourself. And that's the part I want to encourage people. Don't keep looking for outside. You have it.
I love that. That is such a perfect ending message. And that's the one of my biggest lessons is everything I have is already within me. And that's just so true. I'm really excited to welcome my next guest. Some of you have personally experienced my guest at Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny, or any of the Platinum Partner events. His name is Master Stephen Coe. Master Coe is a teacher, healer, and co-author of The Power of Prana and Your Hands Can Heal You. And he has been sharing these teachings worldwide since 1988. He is an expert in pranic healing and Arhatic yoga, an energy management system designed to empower people with personal development skills for greater health and well-being, a deeper spiritual connection, and living a practical and fulfilling life. His mission is to share simple use of energetic techniques based on ancient spiritual principles that can be applied immediately to transform your life. All right, I want to welcome on the podcast Master Stephen Coe. I don't know the better way to call you. What do you prefer?
Whatever works for you works for me. That's fine. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Amazing. Well, I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. As I was mentioning, I have been wanting to have you on the podcast for some time because of all that I've witnessed you speak about and also experience firsthand at UPW, which is Tony Robbins' #1 program, Unleash the Power Within. I experienced it 2 times during the pandemic. And I know you've been working with Tony Robbins for how long now? Like maybe 30 years?
Since 2017, actually.
Oh,
Not too
okay. So
long.
not okay. Well, it seems like you obviously have developed such a relationship that you're always there to help serve the audience. You do Date with Destiny as well?
Yes.
That's so amazing. Okay, so I'm sure many of people that are tuning in right now have experienced you probably most likely through UPW. And if they have yet to not experience you, we're going to go into probably a preview of what you do share in your healing practices. So, of course, I want to begin by asking you, how did you get into using healing modalities? Was there a catalyst to your transformation and learning this energy healing?
Yeah, it's called desperation. So what happened was this is 1988. My wife fell from about 14 feet straight on hard concrete, and of course that hard of a hit, the hip separated. There was a break, and the doctor said they'll take. That's after about 1 week of traction. They have to pull it out until it's even, and it's take about 3.5 months before it could fuse. And he said, "That's what you got to do. You got to wait." I said, "No way. That's not an option." Growing up, I've always learned life will give you what you're willing to settle for. I said, "That's not an option." And doctor said, "No, that's what it is. You can't do anything about it." So I just kind of, okay, thank you very much. I started looking around. I was in the Philippines then, and I found Pranic healing was taught by the Grandmaster, Grandmaster Chokok Sui. I took the class and really, really not that receptive because I'm an engineer by training and a very devout Southern Baptist by religion. So you can imagine you put the two together, you have a super analytical mind and very set belief system, and waving my hands in the air like a crazy person. I said, but I was desperate. So I did technique on her 3 times a day. In 2 weeks, she was walking. In 5 weeks, she was running. And all of that without me feeling a darn thing. So that made me realize, I go, there must be something here because even if I'm not really into it, the fact that there are results, there must be something that caused it. And so that's what started. That was 1988, worked on my mom and more, and the rest is history, as they say. And here we are today.
That's so amazing. And it's so interesting. Like you said, you came from a very analytical mind, one that puts formulas together and adds everything up. And it probably seems so polar opposite from that, which is so intriguing. But obviously, you saw the process and how it worked, which is amazing. I'm sure you were blown away by just seeing it and witnessing it yourself. So I know many listening right now have heard the concept energy is everything. I would love if you could explain to those listening how to gain a deeper understanding of how energy, or I guess they call it prana as well, works and plays a role in healing the body, the health, the mind.
Mhm.
How can you describe this energy that is around us and that everything is energy into a deeper understanding?
Sure, Erica. First of all, most people, when they say energy, it's so vague. They just say, "Oh, today I have more energy. Tomorrow I don't. I work with someone who is negative energy, toxic energy." It's just a term they throw out. They don't realize how real it is. Although a lot of people quote, "Oh, everything's energy," I go, "Do you really know what you're talking about?" When we talk about energy, we want to make it so tangible that that realization will say, "Oh, I better watch the words I use, the thoughts I have, because those are made of energy that I created." So, if it's okay with you, Erica, we'll guide the audience in a simple exercise to make it more tangible for them, so that next time they hear the word chi, prana, they go to an acupuncturist, or they get together with a healer, they have a better understanding that, hey, this literally could change my life. So just rub your hands together. We always do this. We did this with UPW. Okay, press the center of your palms. You have an energy center here in the center of your palms, which actually triggers your heart center. That's why there's a saying, hands could be instruments of compassion or instruments of destruction.
Mm.
When you want to help someone, you help someone like this. You want to hurt someone, you slap him around, you use the same hand. So that's the Joseph part. When I talk to Joseph, that's how he talks. So I gotta
That's
remember that. Anyway, okay, so open your palms like this. Now here's the critical part. Keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth, because there's an energy channel running down and up in your entire body. Connecting the tongue is like turning, when you turn the switch on, you're connecting two copper wires. When you put your tongue there, you're connecting that channel. Okay? So open your palm like this. Keep your tongue in your palate. Close your eyes. Now imagine light pouring down into your palms. Take a deep breath. Inhale that light into your palms and gently exhale it out. Inhale that light in again and exhale it out. Just gently inhale and exhale it out. All right? Now just be still. You can open your eyes. Now go like this. So as you do this, most people feel something strange, weird sensation. And most people say, I don't know, it's like a tingling, kind of heat. I'm not really sure what it is, but there's a something. And usually I don't tell them what it is because I don't want to suggest it to them. We just keep going with the exercise. Okay, that's the engineering part in me. You don't want to mess with the experiment by contaminating with preconceived ideas. So put your hand like this. All right. Now imagine there's a cloud in between your hands. Relax your shoulders, armpits slightly open. This is to allow better energy flow. And all you gotta do is just play with it. Imagine gently compressing this cloud, maybe 20%. Let it expand. Again, compress that cloud. Let it expand. Compress, expand. One more. Compress, expand. How you doing there, Erica?
I'm concentrating. I'm concentrating on the cloud.
Okay. All right. So that's good. As we do this, and you can ask your audience when we do this, usually people feel a sensation. And what they're feeling is actually the life force that flows through your body.
Mm.
So we can keep going. Another easy one would be you put three fingers together like this. All right. Have it face each other. Relax your shoulders. Same thing. Always keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And your fingers are about maybe about an inch and a half to 2 inches apart. And we're going to do like three solid breathing cycles. Okay. Exhale. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3. Okay, keep your hands where they are. Breathe normally. Now, I want you to let's just gently try to pull your hands apart. I saw those eyes go like this. And gently push them gently closer. Pull and close. How you doing over there? You feel something in your head?
Yeah,
What do you
it
feel?
feels like restrictive. Like I feel like there's a force.
Exactly. Most people say that it feels like a magnet. Either you have it,
Yeah.
you know, the right north and south, or south and south and north and north, where it repels. Okay,
Mm.
put your hand down. So that gives you a better idea. I mean, that's a very elementary example. Children love doing that. They play with it. What you're feeling is actually you're taking that life force that's flowing through your body, that's also in the environment. All we did was focus it enough that most people could feel something. And that life force that is called prana in India literally means life's breath,
Mm.
because you could go with how many days without eating, your body will live. You go how long without water, you can still live. You maybe a few minutes without air, but without this prana, this life force, your body dies instantly. And what people don't realize, this life force of prana permeates everything. It permeates your food, your air, everything you touch permeates the, literally your entire body. And when you create a thought, you create an emotion, you're using this as your raw material. So literally, energy is everywhere and everything. So I hope that makes it a little more real for people.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I hope everybody that was listening to this try that exercise. If not, go rewind it and try it and just witness it for yourself. Or you could also, of course, find Master Co's demonstrations online. I think you have some of them on YouTube, just explaining all this and working with the energy. So that is really, really fascinating. That's one thing. So if you could explain pranic healing and how this is different from possibly other modalities that people know of, like Reiki or other healing modalities out there, what's the difference?
Sure. First of all healing modalities come from one source and have one objective. Okay? Everything comes from God, the source, universal spirit. Our words are limited to describe that universal intelligence. So we'll just use the word God to make it easy for most people who have a religious background. Now, the objective is the same, which is to alleviate suffering, to be able to maintain health and well being. So when you say pranic healing, the word pranic comes from the word prana, which is called chi in Chinese, it's called ki in Japanese. So when you say Reiki, the ki is that
Mm.
life force. Now, Rei is universal. However, it's interesting that if you write it out, it's actually two either Japanese or Chinese characters. The word Rei is pronounced Ling in Chinese, which means soul.
Mm.
So Reiki literally means soul energy or spiritual energy. But if you say that to ordinary people who don't know anything about uh, energy healing or spirituality, they might think, oh, that's a religious thing. They don't realize the soul, the spiritual self, permeates everything. Okay, I hope that
Yeah.
kind of gives a better context.
Mm.
So, pranic healing is using prana for healing. It was developed by my teacher, Grandmaster Tohok Sui, for many, many years, officially introduced to the world in 1987, and it spread to practically every country in the world. Now, what makes it different is something like this: several things. Based on many years of his experimentation experience, he started noticing that every ailment has a unique energy pattern. Just like you go to a doctor, every physical ailment has a unique energy physical pattern.
Mm.
You notice, for example, somebody with menstrual cramps will have a different energy pattern. Somebody with heart problems would have different energy pattern. Right there and then, that is, let's just say, a discovery already. Because once you discover that, oh, each element has a unique energy pattern, the next question is, how do you fix it or how do you align it so it has the energy pattern of somebody who doesn't have any ailments?
Mm.
Make sense? So that's
Yeah.
where the healing comes in. So healing is actually using certain techniques to change the condition of that energy body or that energy form so that it will be like that of one who is healthy. Now you say, okay, what's the big deal? What's the deal with the energy body? we already know before anything happens materially, it has already happened energetically. So a lot of times you feel like, oh, you're feeling a little sniffles, a little heaviness, and you go, oh, it's no big deal. And later on, it could develop into a cold. But if you did something to it, somehow you mitigated it. What people don't realize is whatever that ailment is, the energy pattern is just forming in your energy field. And since nothing was done with it, it gathered more energy and physicalized. Make sense? Same thing with our thoughts. You would be thinking of something, think of something. It's just an energy form. But the more energy you put it, at some point, you start wanting it. Then the emotions get in, and before you know it, you find yourself doing something physically to get there. So the energy world is basically the other side of the material world. But whatever happens in the material world happens first in the energy world. Now, before I continue, is this too technical? Because I don't
No,
want
you're
to.
describing it so perfectly.
Is that
I
okay?
mean, I
Okay.
comprehend. Everybody else, do you comprehend?
All right. I don't want to, make it too technical. All right. So that's the first part. The energy body is the blueprint the physical body follows. Next, what makes pranic healing unique is most people work with 7 chakras. And I'll be very, very direct with you. Most people say, oh, we have 7 chakras. You pick up a book in the bookstore, you search online. They always talk about 7 chakras. Now, for your audience that's new, the word chakra in Sanskrit means wheel. The reason it's a wheel is because if you have somebody who could see energy, you have energy centers on your body that spin like a wheel. Now, first of all, you have more than 7. And people always say, yeah, but how come 7? Yours is 11. You have to look at the history. These chakras first was taught in India. And it was brought to the West about 200 to 300 years ago by a school called Theosophy. When they brought it to the West, they kept 2 things in mind. 1, simplicity. Number 2, safety. Simplicity, you're teaching something so far out. By the way, you have this invisible thing that spins around. People are going to go, you nuts.
Yeah.
So they have to make sure it's simple. And at least most people can have let's just say, a slight leap of faith to be able to grasp it. So they go, okay, 7 energy centers, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 notes in music, you have 7 glands, the 7 days. So at least from the Western mind, you go, okay, I think I can handle that. So it's 7, it was oversimplified. You actually literally have 11 major ones and not millions, thousands of minor ones. It's just like generator, sub-generators, okay? So that's one. Safety, because certain energy centers in your body, if you were to trigger it and you don't know what you're doing, could cause problems. For example, behind your belly button, there's an energy center called the gate of life. You talk to any acupuncturist, they know this. That controls your blood pressure. Now imagine 200 years ago, you're teaching this to people, go, oh, what is that thing? Let me add some energy to it. And the blood pressure shoots up. Could be a big problem.
Yeah.
So they oversimplified it and also make it safe. Now, most of your audience who have done any form of meditation, spiritual work, if you ask them, most of them will tell you, yeah, I learned the 7 chakras, but sometimes I feel like something's happening in other parts of my body, but I know there's no chakra there. There is. It's just your mind has crystallized the idea that, oh, I only have 7. Now, to make it a little easier for everyone, every acupuncture point is actually an energy center. What people don't realize, just imagine if you look at your body, you have all these points they're sticking a needle to, each like a little flower. Now, you'll notice they twirl the needle clockwise. If they want to put energy into it, they call it tonifying. They twirl it counterclockwise if they want to, what's the word they use? Reducing or to release too much energy. The question is why? Because the chakras do not just spin in one direction. I know a lot of us read books, oh yeah, some chakra go clockwise, some of them counterclockwise. If that really happens, your body will be dead. You know why?
Wow.
Okay. Erica, how do you use a screwdriver?
How do
Which
I
way
use
do you turn?
You turn it clockwise to screw it.
Right? Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. You heard that before.
Yes.
Okay. Righty, tighty, if you want to tighten it, you go to the right. You want to loosen it, you go to the left. You're talking to an acupuncturist, it's the same thing. They want to put a needle in, they want to put energy in, they go clockwise. Because when the chakra spins clockwise, it's sucking energy in. When it goes the other direction, it's releasing. So all our chakras go clockwise to draw energy in, it goes counterclockwise to release.
Mm-hmm.
So all your energy centers are continuously spinning and compensating. And if the chakras are healthy, your energy field is balanced. Now, are we still good or am I overcomplicating?
Yes. No, it's fascinating. I feel like I'm in class and I love it.
All right. Just tell me if I'm overdoing it.
No,
Okay.
this is great. I'm keeping along.
Okay. Now, people talk about the aura. They think, oh, it's some mystical thing. They don't realize the aura is nothing more than if I take a piece of wire and you run current through it, it will create a magnetic field.
Mm.
So when this prana or this life force is going through your system, through what is called meridians or energy channels, guess what is emitted from it? An energy field.
Mm-hmm.
So your aura is nothing more than the emanation of the life force that's flowing through your channels.
Mm.
That's why when the body's dying, you get close to them, you don't feel much because the energy is already being withdrawn. So not much energy is going through the channels. Obviously, not much energy is radiating.
Mm.
So to go back to your original question, and I overcomplicated, I really
No,
apologize.
no, it's great. I think everybody would enjoy this. So it's good.
So in pranic healing, my teacher is also an engineer. So he used his technical mind to really analyze, okay, every ailment has a unique energy pattern. So somebody has asthma, this energy center, this one, like let's say 5 of them, some of them have too much energy, like congested, some of them are depleted. So with that, he noticed, wait, every ailment has a unique energy pattern. He started experimenting, working on it to correct it. Now, here's the biggest one. I know I'm supposed to get here earlier, but I want to give it context. When you talk to most people, they say, oh, healing, what do they do?
Yeah.
Let me give you energy, right? Most people, that's what people do. Here's my
Right.
question. What if your head is about to explode because you have a super migraine headache? Would you put more energy there?
Of course not. Doesn't make sense to.
Doesn't make sense. People with back pain, headaches, most people don't want to put energy in. But in reality, if an energy is stuck and you put more energy, one of 3 things could happen. Number one, you could shove it deeper. That's why you've heard of people who receive a healing of some sort temporarily get worse before you get better. They call it a healing crisis.
Oh, wow.
Number 2, you have healers who have such good hearts. What they do is they subconsciously, they put their hands there, they actually subconsciously draw it from the client or the patient, take it onto themselves. That's why you hear the people, oh, they get rid of somebody's back pain. You go, right? That's called contamination or absorption.
Mm.
And I've talked to a lot of people who they don't admit it, but they say, yeah, I work on a few people and that's actually what happened. Okay, third possibility. The healer is so powerful, she projects so much life force, it literally, like a fire hose, blasts it out of the person.
Wow.
So that could happen.
Wow.
Well, in pranic healing, my teacher said, wait, this is too complicated. There's already a blockage. Why don't you just take that blockage out? Once the block is removed, then let's put energy in. And then you realize Native Americans, that's what they do with a feather. You heard of shamans where if there's a psychic attack, they take an egg, they put it on the body, they twirl the egg counterclockwise and throw away the egg.
Hmm. I've never
Which
heard
is
that.
what? They're trying to extract the diseased energy. Or in India, and I'm sure you have a lot of Indian friends in the chat, he asked them, have you ever noticed your grandmother, when someone's sick, they will actually take a physical broom and start doing this on you? That's called sweeping. And those people don't know what they're doing. They're just guided.
Wow.
What my teacher did is say, wait, we have 11 major centers. When somebody's sick, different patterns of these energy centers are malfunctioning. The first thing we want to do, we want to remove all the blockages first. Once the blockages are removed, then we put fresh life force in. So in pranic healing, number 1, we work with 11 major chakras. Number 2, we do massive, crazy cleaning. That's why if you ever see me work, while most people go, yeah, man, let me blast you with energy, I'm going, right? Because proper cleansing already allows the aura to suck in and breathe in the fresh life force that's everywhere.
Wow.
Okay? Now, The third most important thing that is unique with pranic healing is we never use our own energy. And I've seen so many people with such a good heart, they want to help people, but they drain themselves. And the reason that happens is out of the goodness of their heart, they go, oh, you don't have energy, you're sick, let me pray over you. But sometimes they don't realize if they don't have the proper technique, they're giving their own life force. So they get
Wow.
drained, right? Number two, without understanding that this energy moves in both directions, two things happen. One, they get drained, and then when their energy level drops, when the patient or client has an energetic detox, it goes to them. So you heard of healers, they're very loving, caring, but at some point you notice their health deteriorating. I've actually seen people where
Wow.
they enter the healing field in less than 3 years, they look like they're aged 5 years,
Wow.
10 years. And I go, all you have to do is one, make sure when you're finished with your session, whatever session you're doing, whatever healing modality, learn to clean yourself. Next, learn to energetically disconnect, because if you don't, even if your client, your subject leaves, you're still linked. And if you don't sever that, if they go through emotional roller coaster, they take you with them. Or if the
Wow.
energy level drops, they draw your energy. So in pranic healing, that's basically a quick summary of some of the key points. Now, here's the beautiful thing. We have so many students that come from all modalities. And one thing they notice is they can learn and apply what they learn in pranic healing. There's no conflict. I've taught easily these 2,000, 3,000 Reiki masters that have come to the class. They go, oh, I wish I knew that. Then I would have this pain, that pain. Because they were taught, oh, you don't have to do any of that. The energy will take care of it, until they start feeling certain stuff. I go, why don't you do this? And now they incorporate it. So anyway,
And
I took so much of your time.
no,
Sorry.
that's great. And I love that you go into depth so people could really grasp and understand why this is so powerful. But the other thing is you don't touch the people you work on either, which is a
It's
difference as well.
it's not needed. Correct. I touch for their sake, because sometimes people need. Oh, okay, I'm touching your shoulder, make you feel better, but it's just for them to in their mind. Okay, something's happening. But in reality, you're not working the physical form. You're working the energy. So touch is not really needed.
Are you ever taking your energy, or is it just taking the life force energy that's
Mm.
around them? Is it
I see.
are you ever integrating your own energy?
Okay, when you're talking about integrating, are you talking about in terms of what? So I
Like
can.
using when you're working on somebody, are you ever using your own energy to work on the person?
Got
Does
it.
that
I understand. All right. It's something like this. Let me understand it on two fronts. One, the way my teacher explained it is, imagine you have one technique that's using a battery, and you have another technique that's using a water pump. So most people subconsciously use the battery technique, where you have energy, you don't have much energy, I have a lot, let me discharge some on you.
Mm,
And that actually happens. You go to a doctor, I'm sorry, you go to visit someone in a hospital that's very sick. You go there, they feel wonderful. You go home, you feel like you're drained. That's because energy goes from what? High to low.
mhm.
Okay, most people, that's how they heal subconsciously. That's the battery technique. So what people say is you have to do a lot of meditation, do energy work to charge yourself up. Then you can discharge it on someone, which makes sense. However, in pranic healing, we don't use that technique. The way we do it is just imagine there's a fire, you have a pool or you have an ocean. As long as you have a pump that can pump that water in there, you can do it indefinitely. That's one. And number two, and here's the beautiful thing about this, when you help someone, the energy goes to the healer first, then to the subject. So you're actually being healed as you heal people.
Wow.
So we don't really use our own energy, with one slight caveat. If you're a very, very loving person, as that energy passes through you, that loving energy will also be part of the energy going to the subject or the client. So you will notice that some healers, when they work on you, you feel like, oh, that feels nice. And not only do I physically feel better, I also feel more serene. My mind is clear. That's because the healer has such a loving disposition.
Mm,
Make sense?
yeah.
So in that sense, part of your energy goes. But what we try to do is draw that energy and let it flow through us. I hope that
Okay.
helps.
Yes, absolutely. And so for somebody that's never experienced any type of healing modality, what would they, if you want to say, feel, and what would the experience be like? And would it be immediately they would feel like, I know there's emotional pain and then there's physical pain, which we'll talk about kind of the difference and how you address that. But
Mhm.
would they feel immediate difference after one session?
It depends on several factors. One, how severe the issue is. Because the more severe the ailment, the disorder is, the more energy it needs.
Mm.
So let's say you have somebody who just fell 5 minutes ago and just kind of tweaked their hip, for example. Even though the damage was done physically, the actual damage is still on the energy field. So
Mm.
if they did something to it, they'll notice that, oh, it doesn't get any worse. Make sense? But if somebody,
Yes.
let's say, just to make it easy, let's say somebody has a severe heart problem, that means there's already a damage on the physical heart as well as the energy field for the last, let's say, 10 years. So when you work on them, you have to go through all those layers of stuff, remove it, put fresh energy in, and it takes time for it to be assimilated. So it's not going to be as fast as effect as something that is more minor.
Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, going into that, it's talked about a lot. If we don't address our emotions, if we suppress them and just like bottle them up, never express them outwardly, it will somewhat get trapped in our body. So, is that an example of energy blockage? And then it would take longer to work that out, possibly? Or how would you, can you go a little deeper into that?
Sure. Um, Instead of telling your audience, why don't we let you experience it? Because if I tell you, go, oh yeah, that's nice. But if you experience it, then you know what I'm telling you makes sense. All
Yeah.
right. So just to give you an idea, shake your hands. Okay, put your hand like this. If you go like this, it should feel about the same. All right.
Yes.
Now look at one hand. Just literally look at your palm, and I want you to recall something unpleasant. Okay, just a little bit to make it real. Okay, as you look at your hand, recall something that happened that's unpleasant that is bugging the heck out of you. Okay, good enough. That's about 3 to 5 seconds. Look at your other hand, smile, imagine someone you love as you're looking at your hand for about the same time. All right, that's about the same. Easy enough, right? Now compare sensations. They don't feel the same. Most
Yeah.
people say, this one feels heavy, this one feels light. Now, here's the most important part. Put your hand like this, go like this. Now compare.
Feel the same.
Okay. Every thought, every emotion is essentially a frequency of energy that the I, the spiritual self or the soul, creates. And that's the part most people don't realize is no matter how pissed off or angry you are, that emotion is something you created. When you have a lot of great ideas or you have terrible ideas, all those are all your creations. Now, that said, if a person does not control the way they feel, the way they think, these emotions are like clouds in their energy field. And at some point, they start to seep in to certain organs in their body. And if they really say, oh, I don't have that anger, I don't have, as you said, they're suppressing it, then literally just imagine you taking a cloud, taking a sponge, and you're shoving into it.
Mm.
So at some point, that physical organ and the energy center that feeds it life force cannot absorb fresh energy, cannot release any whatever used up energy it has. So that energy is now trapped, and at some point, that part of the body becomes diseased.
So good to know this, everybody. I'm sure you're wondering possibly this dis-ease you have in your body. That's what is talked about a lot today is sometimes disease in our body, what is felt like pain that's felt in our body actually is uh, coming from a different source, like a root cause of something. Would you say that's generally the case? It either has to do with trauma to our emotions or just our mind, or trauma to our physical body, and then it manifests in our body in other ways.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Erica. What happens is, uh, let's say 20 years ago, you had a traumatic experience and you were not able to deal with it. It could be anything from abuse to grief to whatever it was.
Yeah.
In other words, you were not able to process it, you were not able to release it. So that thought form, we actually, I'm sure your audience, you've heard of the word thought form, basically is this energy around you. When you think of something, it creates a form. It's a thought form. So that thought form is now trapped in that part of your body. That's why if you ask someone, oh, you have pain? Or you're angry? Or whatever, yeah, what do you feel? If you were to tell me kind of what do you feel, most people will say, I feel it here, I feel it there, because those thought forms kind of gravitate and sit in a certain part of your body.
Wow.
Now, so if something happened to them 20 years ago and they were not able to release it, just a simple analogy, imagine there's a dark cloud which comprised of that emotional trauma. It's now sitting there. So over time, it's inside. And so if they don't release it somehow through healing, through prayers, through breathing, through exercise, there are many ways to do it, then it keeps going in and it starts spreading and the energy channels get trapped, then it starts manifesting a certain ailment. So if they just address the ailment physically, either with some form of therapy, some form of medicine, whatever it is, but they don't address that trapped emotion, whatever they do, it's not going to last because whatever's inside will start creating physical damage again because the energetic part of it was never resolved.
Wow. Well, so you mentioned some of the methods could be prayer, meditation, obviously healing modalities. But if it has to do with energy that's trapped in our body, how does prayer or meditation work opposed to a method that you use with pranic healing?
So prayer, of course, there's different types of prayer. I'm just going to generalize. I hope you don't mind, Erica.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say prayer, most people say, oh, I'm praying to God, I'm saying a
Mhm.
certain prayer, the rosary, I'm praying, whatever prayer from whatever religion. Most of the time when you do that, you're doing two things. One, you're surrendering. So as you surrender, Lord God, I'm a total screw up. Please forgive me, whatever it is. When you do that, you're releasing. So a lot of these emotions that are on the surface are released. So that alone has a cleansing effect. And then when you say, please bless me with this, bless me with that, then a brilliant light comes in. So there's cleansing and there's energizing. So that's one. When you do meditation, again, different types of meditation. When you're doing meditation, if that part of your meditation also involves some level of release, then hopefully whatever that trapped emotion, wherever it is able to be loosened up and let go. And the way you can tell if you did was when you're done with your meditation, you go back to that emotion. If it's still as intense as before, then you just did a surface cleansing. But if you notice, yeah, it doesn't bother me as much, that means you were able to at least break it and kind of let it release. So there are many ways to do it. Now, what I like to do to make it more tangible, so it's not like we're keep dangling this thing to your audience, we'll share with you a very simple technique that I'd say 97% of you will be able to feel, even if you're stressed out of your mind, if you're able to be conscious enough to say, okay, I'm pissed off, but I'm going to do this and let's see what happens. I think most of you should feel the difference. It's actually a more advanced technique that's not taught in the first level, but it's taught in the second and third level. But I figured your audience are advanced enough, we should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, the colors are green and violet. Okay, just to give it context, a lot of people, when they want to clean a room or themselves, they use sage. Sage energetically is green, blue, and violet. Or when someone goes to a Hindu temple, Buddhist temple, they use sandalwood incense that emits green energy. So green has cleansing effect. Just like when you eat sushi, what do you put? Wasabi, which is green energy that cleanses the fish. Okay?
Wow,
Now
that's
violet,
intriguing.
yeah, that, I know I'm talking a million miles per hour because I want to give you
No,
guys
it's
as much
great.
content as possible. Now violet, if you talk to anyone who's Roman Catholic, what do you call that sacrament when you go sit in a little box and emotionally throw up on your priest? Confession, right? You
Yeah.
sit there, oh, bless me, Father, what I've sinned, blah, blah, blah. So you can imagine if you ever sat down and somebody unloading you, how it felt. Well, this guy is receiving this in a little box. So there must be something he's doing that protects him. Well, I have a lot of students that are priests. I ask them, they don't have a clue, but they are doing it. You know what it is? They always wear a purple scarf
Oh,
around their neck.
wow. Okay.
It's called a stole. And
Mm.
every sacrament has a different color.
Hmm.
So the minute they put that on, their energy field turns purple or violet. So when the parishioner is emotionally expelling on the guy, it doesn't go in. The violet light breaks it up.
Wow.
That's why you'll notice when you're meditating and you're very, very intuitive, oftentimes you see flashes of white light,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people see violet. Because violet is the main color of your crown center. When you're praying or meditating, it expands. That violet light fills your entire body. And that's why afterwards you go like this and you go deeper.
Wow.
So, with this in mind, what I'd like to do is just quickly demonstrate it. Normally, you want to do this standing up, but I'll just show you just very quickly. Literally, if there's dust on the table, what would you do?
Wipe it off.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do. If it's something you don't like, you want to throw it out. What do? You just grab it and throw it away. You don't have to chant. You don't have to go through this. You just grab it and throw it away. It is that simple. And since we know this energy is so real and tangible, what you do is imagine your hands having a green glove, light green glove, and you just go down your body like this. Imagine that that green light is flowing through your hands and just sweeping away gray clouds. You do it on your front, like 3 times. The way you clean your back, okay, let me just, I'll do my best, huh? I'll back up. Okay, so you just go like this. And let's say you feel like heaviness, tightness somewhere. Just imagine that green light breaking it up and then push it down, 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 and push it deep into the earth. Or you visualize a green fire, or what we usually do is we use a saltwater bucket. People jump into the ocean to clean themselves. They're cleaning their energy field. That's what they do with rituals. So you go like this as many times as you like. And then how do you clean your back? You visualize you're looking at your own back, because energy follows where you put your attention to. So if I need to work on my back, I just imagine I'm looking at my own back, and then I'm doing the same sweeping motion.
Really? Okay.
That's all. It's that simple. And most people have aches and pains. They go, "Oh, I feel lighter. How could that happen?" Because you changed the pattern.
Wow.
Make sense? You
Yeah.
can do the same thing with violet light. Now, what I like to do, Erica, is after this podcast, we'll give them a link that they can download a free meditation. We call it the Emerald Waterfalls, where you basically press play. In that meditation, I guide you in the visualization using that green light. And most people, when they're done, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm blissing out." So that's for
That's
free, just to
great.
help
Okay.
everybody out.
Thank you so much. I have a question. So I actually meditate with my red light for the first 10 minutes. What does that do? Is that not the best
Where do
practice?
you have the red light aimed at?
My face
Purpose?
purpose. Oh, why am I doing it? For the red light therapy? Just that's I'm kind of doing two things at once.
Okay. How much detail do you want me to go into?
Well, however much that's useful. I
Okay.
know there's a lot, but
All right.
yeah,
I'll
I'm
do my
just
best.
curious if that's not the best, because a lot of people are doing red light therapy and possibly as I'm doing meditating at the same time or doing yoga or whatever they
Okay.
may be
What
doing.
kind of meditation are you doing at the same time?
I'm doing mostly listening to just sound and possibly like practice or listening to my or focusing on my breathing or a mantra.
Okay. So the easiest way to understand is something like this. If you look at a spectrum, red is vibrating here, violet vibrates here. So that's why your physical body responds very well to red, because it's very material, very tangible.
Okay.
As you go up the colors, violet vibrates higher. That's why your crown center has more violet. All right? Now, so when you're exercising, you notice you feel warmer. If you put your hand about 2, 3 inches, maybe a foot or so away from someone who's working out, you would feel heat. That's because the body is emitting red energy. So red is good for your physical form,
Mm,
and it's good for your skin and everything, because it's the color of youthfulness. Make
hmm.
sense?
That's why I use it.
So yeah, and you look like you're 22, so that's, I'm sure it's working. Okay. Now, here's the only caveat here. When you're doing, that's why I asked you what kind of meditation you're doing.
Mm,
If you're trying to do a meditation where you want to experience beyond your body,
yeah,
then that red light will hold you down.
that's so good to know. I'm so happy I asked you that because I feel since I've been doing that, I I want to be able to hear my own thoughts or universe, God speaking to me. And I always lead with that intention. And I notice when I am not using the red light, that happens more than when I'm using the red light.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so good to know.
And
Okay.
there's one more. You notice there's this saying, what is that saying? A person is red with anger. You heard that saying before. When a person's red, their eyes turn red and everything, right?
Right.
Okay. So when a person's angry, the body also and the emotions generate red, but it's not clean red. It's like, imagine red mixed with smoke. So here's what happens. If you're going through some emotional turmoil of some sort and you have that red light aimed at you, it could magnify it.
So if you're going through emotional turmoil or grief or something, you should maybe not use the red light therapy at that time.
Correct. If you want to use color, use green, blues, or violets, which are the
So good to
more
know.
higher energy center colors, which are the ones that give you inner peace. Red does not give you inner peace. Red makes you more dynamic and super sexually excited. The lower centers.
Wow, that's so interesting. That's so good to know because recently I lost my dog on Christmas and I'm in grieving and still grieving and going through the waves of it.
Sorry
And
to hear that. Yeah.
No, but it's good to know that because now with what I just heard from you, I will definitely try to not use that and kind of notice the difference and more doing the visualization of the white light, which
Mhm.
I know you walk through. I know you do that with the UPW. Can you kind of explain that, like the process of visualizing light? I know you talked about the green glove, but white light, I know you do an exercise where you're like witnessing the white light go through your body. I believe this is actually in the priming that Tony Robbins does.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Erica. I'm trying to prevent myself from going to too much detail.
Yeah.
Here's the easiest way to understand this. Prana, life force, chi is invisible to the naked eye for most people. However, if you talk to anyone, if they're relaxing looking out the window, a lot of times you see little bubbles. And then when you look at them, they disappear, right? Or sometimes you're just relaxing. There are people sitting in front of you, in, let's say, in a room. And then sometimes you see a little light or glow around people's head. As soon as you look at it, they disappear. The question is why? Because most people, your eyes are physically tuned in to the material world. You have upper eyes, or just say spiritual eyes to make it a little more easy for your audience to understand. You have spiritual eyes that are more sensitive, that detect light beyond the physical realm. So what happens is when you're more relaxed, that spiritual eye can go, ooh, okay, now I see this. But if your physical eyes are so focused, then your brain is processing what's coming in through here. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
However, here's the interesting part. That spiritual light or prana we talk about, it's to oversimplify, is simply white light. However, when it hits any of your energy centers, let's say your heart center, I know some of you will be shocked, your heart is not green. It's red and gold. But the seven chakra model forces it to be green.
Hmm.
Okay? Your heart is red and gold. That's why when you love someone, you feel this warm and fuzzy feeling. It's red. It's light, light red. Okay? And gold, if you love someone so much, you're so generous, they say, oh, you have a heart of gold. Because in ancient times, people could see loving, generous people are radiating red and golden light.
Hmm.
Okay? Now, it's something like this. So when white light hits any of your energy centers, that energy center will chop it down, and then whatever the color of that chakra is, that's the only color it absorbs. The rest dissipates throughout the aura. So life force actually consists of every color. It just depends on how your body metabolizes it. Now, when we're trying to lead someone in meditation that is new, we always use white light because I call white light screw up proof. You can't screw it up. It has
Yeah.
every color in there. So when you visualize it going through your body, whatever color your body needs, it will just extract it from the white light.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
But if I want to be specific about, I want to help this person with grief. I want to help this person with anger. So I need to counteract that color that they have in their body. I will use greens, blues, and violets. So in the visualization, I will guide them using those colors because I want that specific frequency in that amount to break up this negative emotion or thought.
That's so fascinating. I love it. So there's so much more you could go into depth, I'm sure, about it because it's there's a lot to it. It sounds like, but it's amazing and fascinating. So one thing I'm wondering, if somebody, well, I'm curious, how does somebody know when they have an energy blockage? And then can they perform? I know you said we could do sweeping and certain things on ourselves, but would you say a better option is going to a healer as yourself to do something that is more like a severe back pain? Because just out of curiosity, a severe back pain, would you say that can be relieved by doing energy healing? Or is that possibly severe trauma that could never be healed, that only could be healed through surgery if it's that bad, like that far along?
Well, that's a very broad
Broad
spectrum there. You
question.
could have someone, right? So I'll just answer it in a way that we understand the concept behind it. We always believe in an integrated approach. So, for example, let's just take severe back pain.
Mm-hmm.
What I would tell that person, okay, is number one, go to a chiropractor or someone who knows how to work on the spine. Make sure you check it out, because if the spine is misaligned, I mean, when you do healing, at some point the body will try to bring it back, but it's faster if the guy just snaps it back, then okay, then we do healing.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
the practical side of me. What I usually do is say, okay, you do that part, the physical part, and then energetically, you can also work on yourself. We'll give you a few techniques, and you can also go to a healer. Now, the reason I'm not too crazy about always saying, hey, come to a healer and so on and so on, I want people to be responsible for their own health.
Love
A lot
that.
of people always surrender their health to someone else. They go to someone and say, okay, fix me. When in reality, number one, are you watching your diet? Number two, are you doing proper exercise? Number three, are you getting proper rest? The common sense people are not doing, and yet they want to throw the responsibility on a healer. Come on, fix me. Make sense? So we tell them, okay, number one, you do all those things and do proper breathing. You can do self sweeping, and if you can also do what we call a saltwater bath. And that's usually the easy way for most people to, number one, release stress energy. Number two, if you have a lot of negative connections from people have been sliming you, dumping emotional stuff on you, that's a quick way to clean. And you just take, okay, I know I'm going to shock your audience in this one, anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds of salt. I've read books they put
That's so much.
1 tablespoon. I go, are you kidding? You got 50, 60 gallons. What the heck is 1 tablespoon going to do?
That's
So
funny.
1 to 3 pounds, your comfort level.
Wow.
Sea salt is best. No,
Okay.
actually, dead sea salt is best. It's just kind of expensive. All right.
Okay.
So salt. Next, you take lavender oil.
Mm-hmm.
Now, lavender oil energetically is blue and violet. Blue to calm you down, and violet, as we shared you before, it breaks up stress and negative emotion. So you take that and put it on your salt first, maybe 20, 30 drops. Let it mix. Then you put it in your water, hot water, whatever comfortable water, and you sit in it for about 20 minutes or so. Just relax. And most people, they'll feel like stuff is draining out. So that's one easy way
That's great.
anybody can do. Now, if you don't have a bathtub, or you don't want to, I don't know, in California, you don't want to don't want to contribute to the drought, you can take regular salt, put the lavender oil, mix it like into almost like a, not really a paste, but enough that you can gently put it on certain parts of your body, and then give it maybe 2 minutes or so. Then wash it off. You're gonna feel much more relaxed, because it also helps release stuff out of your system.
That's great. Is Epsom salt the same? No.
Epsom
So
salt is magnesium sulfate. It doesn't have the cleansing effect of regular cheap salt. It's good for relaxing because it opens up your channels. But as far as breaking up negative emotion, negative energy, regular cheap salt.
Okay, that's great to know, everybody. So take note of that. And do you ever talk about 5G or external negative energy, like how that affects us as well? Do you ever talk about that,
Are you talking about
like 5G and EMFs?
EMFs?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, because for two reasons. Number one, whether you like it or not, you have to live with it. Most of it,
It's our
right? I
world.
mean, think about it. You can complain about it, but you have to live in it. What are you going to do? Go live in a mountain and never come back?
Right.
So the practical side. And number two, we also notice something very interesting is there's a certain frequency that neutralizes it. You know what it is?
No.
It's too obvious. People don't believe me. It's spiritual energy.
Ah,
The more divine energy coming in, the less those affect you. In fact, I can't do it here because what we do in classes, we'll say, okay, take your mobile phone, your cell phone, and when you press send, remember you guys were doing this earlier
yeah.
and you feel like a sensation? The interesting part is when you press send and you put your hand there, you could almost feel like that.
Wow.
So what we do in class, and you can do this later after the podcast, is if you project lots of violet light and wrap your phone, just imagine you're filling with violet light, you press play again, I mean not press play, send again, and you put your hand there, you don't feel it.
Hmm.
For whatever reason, that spiritual energy has a way to kind of partially neutralize it. So when you're doing a lot of meditation, your aura is filled with that spiritual light, you start noticing that these things don't bother you as much. So
That's
when
it.
all is
That's
said and
amazing.
done, it's still your spiritual practice that will save you.
That's amazing. And it's kind of like, I mean, when it comes to manifestation, they always say like attracts like. And so, and where you focus on your energy flows, or your energy flows where you focus on. I'm not even saying that correctly, but,
It's okay. I know
but
what you're talking about. That's what Tony says, right?
yeah. um, so I'm just curious. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, do you, I know you talk about abundance, financial abundance.
Mhm.
How does that incorporate with energy, attracting more abundance in your life? Is it more the like attracts like? Is that what that you teach, or?
A lot more than that. So if I can just give it a framework,
Yeah.
um, first of all, we have a saying: "Big fish eat small fish." In other words, when you make affirmations about being prosperous, or I'm visualizing I have money in the bank, business is coming in, that's great and wonderful, but that's small fish. The big fish is what kind of thoughts have been going on in your consciousness for the last 20 years? What kind of self-talk do you have about, oh, oh, I'll never have enough money, blah, blah, blah. All those thoughts are like big fish sitting in your energy field.
Mm,
So your affirmation, oh, I'm going to do this, it's going to be eaten by a lot of these. So that's why clearing your consciousness starts first. Because you see, this thing about law of attraction that everybody quotes, they do it selectively. You see, law of attraction says whatever is in you, that's what you attract.
hmm.
So you'd make an affirmation. It's about, let's just say, this chunk of energy, but your aura is filled with old beliefs that, oh, spirituality and money don't mix. Uh, my parents did not have much money, so it might be a curse. Whatever cockamamie thoughts we've had in the past, if you don't flush those out, that populates your aura.
Mm.
So the law of attraction is actually working against you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why you always say, okay, you want to be more prosperous, number one, clear your consciousness. Do meditation, that's one, a specific meditation to flush it out. And the most obvious thing that people say, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. Watch your words, watch your thoughts. As simple as somebody's trying to sell you something. What is the number one thing people say? Oh, I cannot afford it, just to get rid of the
Right.
guy. In fact, that was the first lesson my teacher taught me. Don't say that because you create a negative thought form, a thought form of poverty consciousness in your aura. Or you go to lunch and for whatever reason you don't want to pay, so you made up some, oh, I'm so broke, whatever. You joke about it. You don't realize those jokes are actually thought forms you create in your aura.
Right.
So I remember he says, okay, instead of saying I cannot afford it, you say, it's not in the budget. You're
Okay.
not lying. I could have $1 million, $2 million in my bank account, but I'm not going to allocate any of it to this.
Mm-hmm.
You're consciously guarding your thoughts and your words. That way, you get to change what populates your aura.
That's amazing. I
That's
love that.
part one. Part two, there's an energy center at the base of your spine, which we call the basic chakra. Most people call it the root center. That energy center directly affects two things. One, your ability to make good money decisions. When that chakra spins very, very quickly and strong, there's a tendency for you to make good decisions. It's just like your heart center. If your heart center is strong, you have a tendency to be more loving. So your chakras also have psychological functions. So if your basic chakra is blocked due to negative thinking, or let's say you grew up in a family where everybody's penny pinching so much that it's as if the world's going to end, those thought forms are clogged in there. So if you don't clear it out, guess what? No matter how much you want to succeed, it's just like you're moving a few steps forward and part of you start pulling yourself back. That's
Hmm.
called self-sabotage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So prosperity is not just, oh, I'm being positive. You have to clear out your old stuff first and then populate with prosperity thought forms.
Amazing. And do you have offerings that teach these things? If somebody wants to learn how to do healing practices as you do, or at least some aspect of it, or learn more about prosperity and abundance and healing and clearing, do you offer anything right now?
Right now, yes. Actually, it depends on how what process you want to go through. For
Uh,
example, the actual technique of how to clean, how to energize, those are taught in classes, pranic healing classes that's available all over the world. If you go to our website, we can direct you to the instructors I've trained that teach those.
Amazing.
And we also have a self healing course that is online because the other ones are in person because it's kind of hard to do it, reach over the screen. Uh, the self healing one, you can do it online.
Yeah.
And we also have a prosperity course. It's called Prosperity Zen, that's still up. That's actually a 4 week or 9 week program where we go in and just literally question every thought form you have about money. Like there are always people who say, "Oh, I never have enough money," or they say, if I'm so prosperous, am I still a good person?
Hmm.
Things like that we don't question. But the minute you question it, we give you a technique on breaking it up and releasing it. So
Amazing.
we try to give you tools. Hope that helps.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll make sure to plug everything in the show notes. That is so great. There's so much wealth of information, so much intriguing things. And because of everything that's going on in the world today, like you said, taking ownership and responsibility for your own health, and these practices that you've shared today, the simple things of clearing and then energizing and how to integrate them both, is so helpful. And so everybody, of course, go check out Master Co and all his teachings. I'll plug it all in the show notes. Is there anything else you could share in regards to self-healing that maybe some practices people should start to do in their everyday?
Um, One of the most important things, I think, in my opinion, Erica, is one of the reasons why people suffer is because they are not aware that they have the ability to choose not to suffer. And that goes back to the teachings that's been around in every culture and every religion is who's moving the body? I am. Who's feeling angry, feeling happy? I am. Who's thinking about food? Who's thinking about a car? Who's thinking about this? I am. So who is the mover, feeler, and thinker? He said, oh, I am. Who is this I am? It's the spiritual self or the soul. So when a person does not do any form of spiritual work, here's what happens, then the body takes over. The tendencies of the body take over. If a person does not do any form of meditation, spiritual practice, then whatever emotions is happening on the spot or response to what's in the news, or what's happening outside, or what people dump on you, and your thoughts that go with it, a person starts to identify those as the I. Then they control you. As opposed to if okay, I realize that I control the body, the emotions, thought. They go, okay, this food is not good for me, so therefore, you're not gonna have it. It's like you control the body, not the other way around. Emotions is the same thing. Okay, this I talk to this person, they're irritating the heck out of me. However, I choose not to be irritated. Their anger or stress is not mine. Why should I take it in? I'm just observing. These are not the I.
Hmm.
So when you get to that point, things could be exploding around you. There's stillness within. And then you get to choose to, oh, this person I love, now I'm going to generate as much love as I can. So you get to choose rather than it's chosen for you. And that only comes from, believe it or not, silence and stillness.
Hmm. So valuable to recognize that and know that. And that's why meditation is so important, because with all the noise going on around us, if you don't sit in stillness, how could you gain that awareness that that is the truth?
Yeah. Most people
Yeah.
don't know it. Most people do not know they're puppets to their environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely unaware of it. That's so fascinating. So I always like to ask one closing question. So if you were to share a piece of wisdom that you've learned along your journey, which I'm sure you've experienced so much, if you were to share just one life lesson, wisdom, what would that be? If you
Which
haven't
is it.
shared it already.
That was it.
That was it. Okay, then I'll take that as that, because that was pretty profound. That is so great. Master Co, thank you so much for your time and all the goodness you're doing in the world. I know you have created such a ripple effect by your teachings. And there's been, I think when I did UPW, there was probably the first UPW, I think it was like 30,000 people watching virtually. It's probably, I don't know what the number is now virtually over
They had
Zoom, but
50,000 this past weekend.
so remarkable. So you're creating such a ripple effect. And I know so many people have just been, you know, eyes opened in your teachings, and it's available online that we could learn more from you. So I just thank you for all you're doing in the world and in your healing and just teaching us another way to look at things, that everything, you know, that there's more possibility outside of us than we realize. And that I know I didn't even ask you like one of the most profound experiences you've had, but I've listened to it on another podcast and it's quite fascinating. So there is great proof of this energy work. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Erica. Just to kind of add to what you were saying earlier, just in your finishing statement, there is my goal is to empower people. Oftentimes, we give our power to someone else. Do this for me. If I learn from you, will I have this? They don't realize that it is already in you. That is part of you, and but you by you studying, you're awakening it within yourself. And that's the part I want to encourage people. Don't keep looking for outside. You have it.
I love that. That is such a perfect ending message. And that's the one of my biggest lessons is everything I have is already within me. And that's just so true. I love it. Thank you
Thank,
so much for your time and everything that you do in the world today. Thank you.
thank you, Erica. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.